So if we're going to have a theme, it might sound like this. Thomas was an Episcopalian. Now here to convince you. Skepticism is a hallmark of Thomas. We always hear of doubting Thomas. That's kind of crept into our lingo, whether you go to church or not. Oh, you're doubting Thomas. Skepticism. Healthy skepticism is not a bad thing. Healthy skepticism tests. It does not rely on a doctrine or dogma out of context. It demands context for what we believe, how we believe. We're, as Christians, often confronted in an increasingly secular world with this resurrection scandal. Jesus rose from the dead, we say. Secular world might say, prove it. We might say disprove it. Think about that. Seriously. You know, a lot of what the world believes through science is actually speculation. Chaos theory is a dominant theory in physics right now. But you'll notice that word, theory. Games theory. I was a political scientist, believe it or not. My specialty was the Soviet Union. I thought I wasn't going to use it again, but who knew? Games theory tried to predict the behavior of countries. So we live in a world that surrounds itself with speculative belief. Why not Jesus being raised from the dead? How is it that the world has managed to sort of push that aside? Now, I'm not saying don't wonder, because it is something that embraces us in wonder. We stand back and we wonder, and even perhaps dream sometimes, how did what was it like in the tomb when he was being raised? I've wondered that. There are reports of a great light. What transformed physically in him, because he is different. He is different. He goes into a room with locked doors. And what's the first thing he says? Peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Peace be with you. Then he exhorts the disciples. I suppose he took Thomas aside and gave him a tutorial later. But he has the first, what we call the first mini Pentecost. It's when he invests his apostles with the authority to heal and to forgive and to reconcile. And we hear that in our collect, our first collect today. We are a church to reconcile. Now, reconciling is a hard thing to do. Or it can be a hard thing to do. Frankly, I think it gets easier with practice. And once you've reconciled, that is, once you have atoned for what you did wrong and forgiven the other for what they've done wrong, and you come to that beautiful place where you're both no longer in, I love the old language, no longer in enmity with your brother or sister, then you are in the place that Jesus has destined for us. And if we relieve ourselves of the burden of deceit, hatred, envy, lust, those things, you'll find your life much lighter indeed. You'll find exactly what Jesus is talking about. Now, at the end of the day, beyond the testing of the secular world, or prove it or disprove it, because it's our word against their word, whoever they are. My father hated it when I said they, or everybody. I used to throw that out a lot. Well, they said, my father would look back, he was kind of a New Englander, precisely whom are they? And I'd wither and go back in my room and play with my toys. And come back after I dreamt up something good. But that also says something. Who are they? It's not they. Is it? What's the word we should use? We. We're all interconnected. Jesus is interconnected with us. And we can transfuse that connection to others because they aren't they are we. That's one of the big things going on right now. We're polarizing ourselves. And, we're just as bad as they are in doing it. The language of we is daunting to humans because we want to hold on to what we have so that they don't get it, whatever it is that they might get. And so we use the word they. The only time I think they and them is probably an okay is maybe when it's used for a pronoun. Otherwise, let's use we, the world. Now, I'm not naive enough to think, look, I'm a veteran from the Vietnam War era. And I'm not naive enough to think that we as a community of human beings don't invite danger into our lives through war, famine, climate change. And those are all observable things, Thomas. All observable. But what I am suggesting is a profound shift in how we understand not just each other in this sense. It's pretty safe to be a Christian at St. Mark's Episcopal Church, isn't it? I mean, the least of us is an informed skeptic, maybe a little on the bubble about some of this stuff. The best of us is a profound evangelical, accepting Jesus as a personal Lord and Savior person. And that's safe too. What happens when we go out of the doors? Do you feel safe anymore? There are stories I've heard of being the only kid in a school where people don't believe like we do. It's kind of tough. Being at a party, a crawfish burger. Of course, this is southeast Louisiana, and somebody's going to be a Catholic there. But increasingly, you'll see that shift. Increasingly, we're starting to see Easter more about your first crawfish boil than it is about praising the resurrected Christ. I'll testify that. Look, I live in Chalmette, and the neighbors all get together. I mean, we're starting in the morning when I'm getting ready to go across the bridge. They got the pipe, right there, right? And they're getting the tables out in the street. I don't see any of them packing up going to church. I see all the guys in the cluster back there, with the sack hoist, and you got that six-pack. It's more like a case. And they're, how many times have I heard I found Jesus on the golf course? And not that kind of language. It is up to us in what appears to be a vanishing faith to reintroduce the world to Jesus, because they are weak. And we want to share the beauty of not just resurrection, the beauty of reconciliation, the beauty of humans in union, the beauty of allowing somebody to be who they are and still love them. Because at the end of the day, Christ said this: "You will know us by our love." And that's what we preach, and we have ways of getting there. So if somebody says, "How do you know Jesus resurrected?" start pointing to the events in your own life, to the things in your life that are mysterious and transformative and beautiful. Have you ever been in the room when a child's being born? You know that there is God. Have you ever looked into the eyes of a newborn baby totally dependent on the world for survival, and you know there is God? Have you ever seen that magnificent sunset and seen it as beauty? Or some of the images that I see floating up on Facebook of storks and cranes and swamp scenes, and you know that there is beauty. And the reason we see it as beauty is God has gifted us with that vision. And if we can see beauty in all of that, we can see beauty in we. And so you bunch of Thomases, maybe you weren't there during the resurrection. Maybe you weren't there when Jesus just popped into the room. But you are here. And you know that you are loved in ways that, yes, you can explain, and yet it is mystery. Because love always wins. Amen.